Hey everybody, welcome back to Garage Gear. I'm JB, and today we are doing step 2 of our sound system upgrade on this Toyota Tacoma. We are going to be taking out the stock speakers on both the driver and passenger side doors and replacing them with brand new kicker speakers. Stick around. So the sound system here in the Tacoma just isn't quite what it should be when you're using just the stock speakers, so it's definitely time for an upgrade. In a previous video, I installed brand new kicker tweeters in the dash in both corners, and that already kicked up the sound quality quite a bit here in this Tacoma. You can find that video down in the description below, as well as my next video, which is coming out, on how to install speakers in the access cab doors. All right, everybody, so here we are back at the workbench. Let's talk about all the tools and all the parts that we're gonna need to get this job done. We have our kicker speakers. These are 6x9. I have these all linked down below, as well as all these tools. You're gonna need these mounting brackets. You're gonna need some plastic panel removal tools. These are a nice soft plastic so they won't mar up your panels inside your vehicle. You're gonna need a 10mm socket. These speakers do come with a bunch of screws, so we're gonna be using those, I'm sure. A ratchet. I'm gonna be using an index card in case if there's any panels that I don't wanna scratch up. I will actually press against this piece of paper here so that way it doesn't destroy my panels. I used that for the kicker tweeters and that helped quite a bit. Our adapters here, these are gonna plug into the back of the speakers and make our plug and play option very easy. I have a Phillips head drill bit here, which I'm going to link up with my impact driver. That'll help us get the screws out much quicker. I also have a Phillips head screwdriver as well. These kicker speakers also come with some wire connectors as well as these mounting wires. These are probably not going to be necessary, but nice of Kicker to give them to you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so here we go. We're going to start to take some panels off. We need to get down to this speaker, and there's going to be a few obstacles in our way. First piece is going to be this triangle piece up here, which I've already started. All you got to do is just kind of get your fingers behind it and then just slowly pop things off, just like that. Very simple. Take your time with this, do not rush. Our next step is right here. We have this little tab. I'm gonna use my Phillips head screwdriver and I'm just going to poke this center spot on it right there. It'll make a little click. Then from here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my thumb on this because this might shoot out, and then I'm gonna pull back, push with my finger from behind, and voila, there you go. There's our press tab. Next, I have to get this little door handle panel back here off. This is where my plastic panel removal tool comes in. I'm going to stick this right here by the locking mechanism and just kind of pry back until it pops off. There it goes. Boom. And we're free. And as you can see, we have a Phillips head screw back there. We need to take that out next. That piece is out. Next, what we're gonna do is down here inside your handle, and it may be a little dark to see, there is a piece of carpeting in there. You could actually use your finger and pull that free, and out it comes. Down below, you will see another Phillips head screw. We're gonna remove that too. Another screw out. So now the next step is going to be removing this door lock panel right here. I'm going to use my 3x5 card and I'm going to carefully wedge this underneath, and it should start to pop up here. There we go. Set the tool down. Voila. I have my door lock and window adjustment panel up, and I have these little tabs right here on this white plug. And what I'm gonna do is just push up on that and then wiggle it out. Super smooth, easy to do. From here, I'm gonna flip this panel over, and you can see that I have another white tab to push down on. I'm gonna push down on that and pull down. Easy peasy, that's off. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to stick my hand behind here and slowly start to pull this whole panel off. If I have to, I'll use one of my pry tools, but I think I should be able to do this part by hand. Now, especially since this tab right here is out. So there's lots of little tabs. I just gotta take my time, pulling it back and work it out. So now all I have to do at this point is pretty much just lift this panel up, but what's gonna be holding everything on here still, there's a cable here which works our door handle. That piece will all come out as one unit. I'm gonna show you that. From here I'm gonna lift up. And there we go. Now, as you can see here, we have our door handle panel. What I'm going to do is stick my hand in here just like so, and I'm going to wiggle this whole piece right out. There you go. So now there is my door panel, completely out, safely removed, no issues there. And here is the inside of our door. So here is our speaker, and it's got the kicker yellow, but ladies and gentlemen, trust me, this is definitely no kicker speaker here. From here, there's a little tab right here in the top corner. I'm going to push that in and then slowly wiggle this out. Out it comes. There we go. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use my impact driver with my 10mm socket, and I'm going to pull out these screws here. And we now have our speaker out of the Tacoma. Now this just makes me laugh. Here is our original speaker, and then here is our kicker. Look at already major differences, right? Well, as we flip them over, take a look. That's your magnet. It's the size of about a quarter. And then if we take this speaker and flip it over, oh my goodness, look at that. That thing is easily like 4 times the size. That's crazy. No wonder these things pump out much better sound. So here we go. Mounting these speakers into these brackets is the next step. And here's a couple important pointers to note. You want your bracket with this arch right here on the top. You'll notice it's got a little slot here for your wires. That's important as well. Now what I must do is mount these speakers inside the bracket just like so. And these holes do not line up perfectly. They're kind of oddly placed. And I think it's just because these brackets are a generic bracket for many model vehicles, including Tacomas. So I'm gonna have to kind of jury rig and maybe angle some screws into their slots. So now what I've done is I've taken my 4 black screws and I've put them into each of the corners. This is kind of the tricky part right here. I have to brace it from the bottom with one hand and then drill down with the other. Placing these screws in advance, I think this is gonna kind of keep them where I need them to be. So let's drill these in. I'm actually gonna work kind of crisscross here. Don't worry, the screws are not going into the speaker below. They're kind of just forming a slot. I'll show you in a second. This is the last one. It's not gonna go in politely. So now another key point to make here, you see the kicker logo and the CS, you want those to be standing upright, okay? You'd want to be able to see your hole at the top and again have that arch at the top. I'm going to do my other speaker the exact same way. So now here's the back of the speaker and you can see where my screws protrude through. You can see that they just kind of go in through a slot and that's all there is. Now let's talk about wiring these things. So what I'm going to do here is first take a look at your wiring harness. You have a big one and a small one. See the difference? They're also slightly different in color. This one's more red, this one's more orange. If you look down below here, we have a small little red tab. Red plug, red tab, wide plug, that's where they connect. So I'm gonna feed these through the top hole, voila, and then just plug them right in. There's that one, there you go. These are called plug and play for a reason, people. I'm going to do the same thing on the next one. So now what I'm gonna do here, people, is take our speaker and mount it. And if we line it up, we can kind of see which holes we're going into here. This bracket actually provides 2 holes here on this corner. We're gonna go in the first one and down on the lower one down here. Now I'm gonna see if I can get these in by hand first and send them in. And voila, that speaker is now in place. What I'm gonna do here now is install my plug. You should hear a good sounding click right there. And voila, we officially have plug and play speakers installed. One thing I did notice here, there's quite a bit of slack here on this speaker wire, and what I don't want it to do is when I'm driving or when I'm maybe playing the music a little loud, I don't want this to vibrate here and make a lot of noise. So I'm gonna take a piece of duct tape and I'm going to actually just tape it down right here. I noticed on the panel there's plenty of room in this region here, so what I'm gonna do is just duct tape it right down to the metal right there. I'm gonna use some Gorilla Tape. I'm gonna rip a thin strip, I'm gonna tape it down. That should do. Now that this is all plugged in, this is a good time to go ahead and test the speaker to make sure that it's working correctly. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just tested the speaker and it works perfectly. So what I'm gonna do now is start to button everything back up. We're gonna reverse all our steps and put that panel back on. So what I'm gonna do first is take my door handle, stick that through, and then it's got 2 little notches I have to realign. Easy enough, that's back in, and it's working. See, our screw hole lines up here in the door, so that means this whole panel is centered because this screw hole is lined up. Now what I'm going to do is just push it back on. Okay, so when putting this switch panel back on, one thing to note here is you have 2 holes on the back as well as a tab that has to go somewhere right about here. So make sure when you're putting this down, you have to press it against this back wall here too. And she is back in place. Now, so you don't mix this up, if you take a good hard look at this, you have a small screw and a bigger screw. The small screw goes up by the door handle. The bigger screw goes down inside your handle. I'm going to reinstall my big screw. Take your little piece of carpeting, pop that back in, done deal. Take your small screw. Put that back in. Take your little plastic panel, open up your door handle, push it in until you hear it click. Then take your upper triangular piece here, line up your holes. Now take your little push tab, push it back down, just like that, so you get the little stub sticking out of it. Find your spot, and then push it back in. Your panel should be nice and snug then. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. So this panel is now back on. I'm gonna go now tackle the other side. Okay, so now this whole process should go a little smoother and a little faster because I know what I'm doing now. So I'm gonna peel this side off here first. There's 3 tabs, boom, that's off. I'm gonna set that off to the side. I'm going to take my screwdriver, push that tab in, put my thumb on it, pull it back. There's my little tab. I'm gonna take my wedge tool here. There we go. Our plastic handle is now free. I'm going to take my impact driver and reverse that screw out. Screws out, dig down, get that little carpeting piece out. There it is. Carpet piece now out of the handle. Take my impact driver, remove the screw. Screws out, take my index card, put that right up against our window adjustment and door lock panel. Reach under, pop that off. That is now free. I have 2 tabs. I'm going to push down, pull the cord out, tab, push down, carefully slide the cord out. Those come out pretty smoothly. And then from here, we're just gonna start popping. And lift the door up, reach inside, there we go, remove the door handle, and set the panel aside. We have our speaker. There's a little tab right here. I'm gonna push on that and pull up carefully. There we go. Sometimes it takes 2 hands. I'm gonna take my impact driver, I'm gonna loosen the bolts. And out our speaker comes. Same thing, very small magnet on the other side. Okay, so I have my other speaker totally ready to go. It is all wired up with a wire harness, screwed into the bracket. And again, I just can't get over how big the magnet is on the back of this. When it comes to these speakers, size definitely does matter. So at this point, now I'm going to mount in our speaker. Just kind of place it where we think it needs to go. Looks like it'll go right about there. I'm going to loosely fit in our screws. Perfect. Now I'm gonna take my impact driver and send them in. And that ain't going nowhere, ladies and gentlemen. That doesn't want to move at all. Now I'm going to take my speaker wire and make sure that plug goes in the correct way. Click, we're in. I'm now going to take a piece of duct tape and put that over this wire right here. I'm gonna take my Gorilla Tape. I have a thin strip, just like that. At this point, I'm gonna test that speaker to make sure that it is in working order. Okay, so I just tested this and this speaker definitely does work. So now we're ready to button it back up. We're gonna put the panel back on. Okay, so we're gonna take our door handle. We're gonna slip that through. We're gonna find our notches. That's back in, that's easy. From here, I'm gonna hang it off the top by the window. Looks as though my screw holes are ready to line up. All I gotta do is pop it back into place. I'm gonna feel for my tabs. That panel's back on. Now we're gonna take our window adjustment panel. We're gonna slide in. You have a big one and you have a small one. We're gonna put the big one back in the big one. Make sure your tabs line up. Click them in. Good. We're gonna make sure our 2 notches in the back sit flush. That's back in. We're going to take our big screw. We're gonna screw down our door handle. We're gonna take our little piece of felt, wedge that back down. Our small screw is gonna go in the door handle. We're gonna take our little panel, stick it behind our door handle. That's in. We're gonna take our little tab here. We're gonna push this up, find our hole right here, stick it in, and push the tab. And then the piece of resistance. We're gonna take our little triangular piece here, line up our holes, and on it goes. That's all there is to it, people. That door panel is now back on. That took about 15 minutes to get that speaker in. That was a piece of cake. All right, folks, well, there you go. So the 2 door speakers are now in. The sound clarity is way, way up. I can hear the bass thump. I can hear every stroke of the guitar. I love it. It sounds awesome in here. Now, all I have left to do is the back access door speakers. That'll be another video coming up, so stay tuned and check down below in the description for a link to the tweeter video I did earlier on this. This has been a fun day with this project, getting these speakers in. It was actually very simple. It only took about an hour to get these speakers in. In fact, the second door, it only took me about 15 minutes once I figured out what to do on the first door. Well, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button down below. Can't wait to see more? Hit that subscribe button and you'll be up to date with all my latest content. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the garage.